Hello, beautiful soul family. Rebecca here, your vibe mentor, helping you raise your vibration so you can live your best life. Let's talk today about some of the precursors to complex trauma. So, if you've ever heard of anything called ACEs or the adverse childhood events, that is a score or a checkbox, if you will, a list of 10 things that if you have experienced, you will likely also experience high sensitivity or other challenges in life. These are also sort of the markers of complex trauma. So, real quickly, the list is pretty simple: physical abuse, sexual abuse, emotional abuse, physical neglect. So, that could be like your food, your water, your clothing, as well as just attention, love, and affection. Emotional neglect would also fit there. Mental illness, divorce, violence against your mother, or having a relative that has spent time in jail. So if you've had one or more, I would prefer to say two or more. I've heard it said one or two. You are likely going to experience high sensitivity, symptoms of complex trauma. You may also have increased risk for negative mental health, um, and including cancer, liver disease, substance abuse, and depression. So those are, one measure of whether or not you may have complex trauma. I also did another video on the symptoms of complex trauma if you want to check that out. Likely, if you have two or more of these that I've just listed, you're also going to be experiencing sort of the symptoms of complex trauma, so you want to look into those. There's also another scale called the highly sensitive scale, or I should say, rather, the test of high sensitivity. So if you score 14 or higher of these that I'm about to offer, you are likely highly sensitive, which many of us don't need to have validation of. We kind of already know if we're highly sensitive or not. But what's not commonly known is that adverse childhood events, complex trauma, and high sensitivity or empathy can also be, they are connected. They are very interconnected. That usually when you have experienced one of or two or more of the adverse childhood experiences, then you're going to be dealing with complex trauma and also this high sensitivity. So I am going to go through the list of sort of the questions that would be asked on a high sensitivity test, because sometimes it does bring awareness to things that are not normal, right? We just expect that system overwhelm when we're overstimulated is normal, but not everybody has that challenge. And so this list can also help you remember that you're not alone in this, but also indicate where you may need some extra self-care, where you may need some healing. And all of this is important because if you are a spiritual being, a light worker, just a good-hearted person who wants to do big things in the world, who wants to start their own business, who wants to be of service, who wants to be of impact, who wants to help build heaven on earth, you're going to need to be aware of these things, because they are going to be the very things that keep you from your purpose, from doing the things that you really want to do. And the difference is that when we experience these things, we can know at a prefrontal cortex level, I want to be of service. I want to build the heaven on earth. I want to step into my light. I want to step into, my purpose. If I didn't say that already, I'm not sure. But you won't be able to, because you've got this program in the limbic brain that says you're not enough, or it's not safe, or the world can't be trusted, or people can't be trusted. And so this is my mission here on planet Earth, is to help people overcome, because you can get trauma up and out of the body. The body keeps the score. The trauma is housed in the body and in the limbic brain, something called brain spotting. Check out my brain spotting video if you want to know more about that. Can help, not can help, will help. It does help everyone who uses it for long enough to get the trauma up and out of the body, so that they can become the person they were intended to be instead of the person that the trauma made them to be. So let's go through this list real quickly. If you answer yes to any of these, well, to 14 or more of these questions, you are likely very highly sensitive. It's also said that it's not that black and white, that sometimes maybe you answer yes to 12, but you answer yes on a high level of extreme yes to, a couple of them, then you may still qualify. And again, trust yourself, right? That this is really just about reaffirming something that you may already know about yourself, or reaffirming the fact that this is not common, and that you need to be aware of your needs, because your needs are valid and you deserve them. So even if you are a highly sensitive person, you deserve people in your life who are going to respect that and honor your needs and support you in your sensitivity. Okay. I don't know why my nose is so itchy, so whoever you are, stop thinking about me. um, all right, so number one, I am easily overwhelmed by strong sensory input. I seem to be aware of subtleties in my environment, especially when other people may not be. Other people's moods affect me. I tend to be very sensitive to pain. I find myself needing to withdraw during busy days into bed or into a dark room or any place where I can have some privacy and relief from stimulation. And I'll just throw in my own personal experience. I could not, especially in my early 20s when I was in late teens, early 20s when I was in college, I couldn't. Sometimes it just couldn't. It was just too much, and I would have to stay home and sleep. And I wasn't sick, and I felt lazy, and I beat up on myself about it emotionally. But to hear this and to see this, it says sometimes we just need that, and that's okay. As long as we don't get into perpetual hermit mode or we're not foregoing our responsibilities. I still was able to pass my tests and get my projects done, but sometimes I needed to let that happen, and so we just need to be aware of our needs and honor our needs. All right, next is I am particularly sensitive to the effects of caffeine. I am easily overwhelmed by things like bright lights, strong smells, coarse fabrics, sirens close by. I have a rich and complex inner life. Don't know about you, but I don't mind being in my head, or at least didn't for a long time. I'm made uncomfortable by loud noises. I am deeply moved by art or music. My nervous system sometimes feels so frazzled that I have to go off by myself. I am conscientious. I startle easily. I almost broke my brother's nose one time because he jumped out at me. I get rattled when I have a lot to do in a short amount of time. When people are uncomfortable in a physical environment, I tend to know what needs to be done to make them more comfortable, like changing lights or seating. I am annoyed when people try to get me to do too many things at once. I try hard to avoid making mistakes or forgetting things. I make a point to avoid violent music or TV shows. I become unpleasantly aroused when there's a lot going on around me. Being very hungry creates a strong reaction in me, disrupting my concentration or mood. Changes in my life shake me up. I notice and enjoy delicate or fine scents, tastes, sounds, works of art. I find it unpleasant to have a lot going on at once. I make a high priority to arrange my life to avoid upsetting or overwhelming situations. I am bothered by intense stimuli like loud noises or chaotic scenes. When I must compete to to be observed while performing a task, I become so nervous or shaky that I do much worse than I would otherwise. When I was a child, my parents or teachers seemed to see me as sensitive or shy. So, what's your score? I will say mine is well over 14. So, to be highly sensitive is not a bad thing. It does not take anything away from you to learn that this comes from trauma. Just to explain sort of why this develops through trauma is when we feel unsafe for an extended period of time, it becomes a natural coping mechanism to navigate the world around us, understand the world that we live in and the people that we're dealing with, and then figure out, our brain's job is to keep us safe, so it tries to figure out, who do I need to become? How do I need to adapt myself? How do I need to adjust? What mask do I need to wear? What self-sacrificing choices do I need to make to not rock the boat and prevent any additional pain? And so that's where that hypersensitivity comes from. Now, I have heard of many people who are upset by the awareness that sensitivity comes from trauma. I will say that this is in no way degrading of the gift that is sensitivity. Because you can think about some of these things and think how it's really not a bad thing that I can read the room and understand who's uncomfortable and what they need to adjust. Where it does become a bad thing is where I self-sacrifice to make that adjustment or to make them feel better. Sensitivity is a gift. And what I have found, and the reason that I'm in this work, is that beautiful spiritual beings, light workers, good-hearted people who want to do good things in the world, somehow, for whatever reason, we incarnated in and we chose, or whatever your beliefs are, we landed in a difficult situation. And when you look at the body and how we resemble a crystal and how there's a piezoelectricity that is generated through the type of crystalline body that we have, there is power, there is latent power generated through the pressure of these experiences. This makes us more powerful. This makes us stronger. This makes us more capable of bringing about heaven on earth if we heal the trauma. If we get the trauma up and out of the body, we relieve the energy of the maintenance that is needed to keep that trauma managed when it is in the body. We renew our energy stores, and we also release. I sort of get the image of birds being released from a cage. We release the gifts, the person that we were meant to be, the person we were designed to be, when the trauma is removed and up and out of the body. So know that having adverse childhood events or high sensitivity, yes, it does indicate that there is work to be done around trauma healing. It does not mean you're broken forever. It does not mean there's anything wrong with you. And it certainly, if anything, does not mean that you are unworthy. In fact, it means you are extremely worthy. And it doesn't mean that you have to have trauma to be worthy. Although collectively, if you just look at the COVID situation, the world felt unsafe for an extended period of time. It was close to 2 years, depending on who you were. And that means we're all in this together. We all have collective trauma to heal. The term trauma kind of, I hesitate to use it sometimes because it sounds so big and people will be like, oh, I don't have trauma. But the truth is we all have a collective unworthiness wound, whether it's from adverse childhood experiences or it's just from the collective message that the media sends us that you're not enough unless you buy their product. Either way, it could even just be from COVID. Maybe you had a perfect life before then. And so this is a more of a standard basic life skill. This is standard living. This is how to play the game called life. Dogs, after they fight, they shake it off. That's actually releasing from the nervous system the trauma of the experience that they just went through. It doesn't have to be a thing. It only becomes a thing when we don't know how to release it and remove it from the body. So I will do my next video on how to calm the nervous system, how to engage the rest and digest mechanism versus the fight or flight mechanism, because when you have experienced adverse childhood experiences, you have high sensitivity, you have complex trauma, you have trauma stored in the body, you likely are in hypervigilance or a consistent state of fight or flight, which degrades the body, causes disease, all sorts of things. So the next video will be about how do we turn off fight or flight and get back into rest and digest, because the world is not unsafe and people are not unsafe. And it is the beliefs that were developed due to the trauma that caused us to start to think that way, which then ends up creating more of it. So we're just becoming an attraction point for the thing that we fear. So now we start to heal the trauma, we start to replace these beliefs, we get the trauma up and out of the body, we start to employ new, more resourceful beliefs, we reprogram the subconscious. Then we can start to step into the belief that the world is a safe place. There are good people out there. We are working together and coming together collectively as a spiritual family, or the collective whole of good-hearted people, and things are going to get better. And so it's time that we need you. The world needs the gift that only you have to offer. And so it is my purpose to be here to support you in that, to love you, to hold space for you, to be the bumpers on the bowling alley, to kind of guide you, but not direct you, right? You are your own hero at the end of the day, and it's up to you to choose whether or not you're ready to do something about this so that you can live the life that was gifted to you, that is waiting for you. So I know I threw a lot of things at you. I probably just condensed like 20 different videos all into one, but it's really important, if this is the first video that you've ever seen, that you need to understand all of the different moving pieces that are here for you. And I do offer courses and coaching to be able to, brain spotting sessions to be able to assist you in healing, getting the trauma up and out of the body, reprogramming the subconscious, identifying your purpose, and learning how to make a living doing it. So all of this is doable. I do it with people every day, all day long, and it has worked in my life. So I can promise you it will work for you. All right, I'm going to close with that. I love you guys. Please do like, subscribe, and share. Make sure you click this button to get notified of the next video. Otherwise, if you want something, this one is picked just for you. So make sure you click that one. I'll see you on the next video. Take care. Namaste.